Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Talking with Ted Alexandro. I was telling Ted when he came on before we turned the mics on, when he got here, I was looking through On Demand and I saw a documentary about this L.A. comic Eddie Pepitone, and it was a documentary about his life, and Ted's in it, and he shot down at Occupy Wall Street, and it's the clip in the movies made it seem like you were down at Occupy Wall Street quite a bit.
I was, yeah. I was down there, I mean, especially in the early going, I was there almost every day.
Okay.
Not sleeping, but going back and forth.
Yeah, that's the best way. Draw the line at sleeping.
Right.
So explain what Occupy Wall Street meant to you. Like, explain it? Because a lot of people, I don't think, know what the hell was going on.
Well, I mean, I think there's so many kind of issues that factor into it, but probably the main one is just, I guess, kind of the way corporations have taken over government and kind of made a sham of democracy. Like, what are we really voting for when we vote in, whether it's Obama or Romney or whoever?
Yeah, who knows what the hell's going on?
Like how much of a voice, other than pulling that lever,
I know.
The corporations have so much money and the lobbyists are influencing policy on every level. So, like, it's nice to think that we have a democracy, but do we really? So those were the kinds of questions that I think more and more people are asking because, people's lives are being impacted every which way.
Right. Well, I read an article about, because I was kind of casual about it, but, I read an article in Rolling Stone about Bank of America and like the crimes they're guilty of, Bank of America. It'll make you want to just go to the nearest Bank of America building and just walk in and demand money back.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about like street level crimes, the most dirtbaggy of low level stuff to high end, just ripping people off. And when you read something like that, it makes you understand. Because of course, when you get something like Occupy Wall Street, of course, the nuts take over, and then people, think it's just stupid. But the core of it is really, it makes sense.
Well, to be honest, I mean, yeah, the media likes to harp on the nuts and the circus atmosphere of it. But honestly, the people that I met there, for me, it was an education. It was like finding out a lot of the things of like what you're talking about. Like HSBC. Funding drug cartels and terrorists, like banks, laundering money.
You're talking about money on a level of like insane money to where it controls not just people's lives but corporations' lives, and then it controls corporations that control people and politicians. And people hear that word lobbyists a lot. I don't think a lot of people even know what the word lobbyist means. I mean, politicians need money to run, and these big companies donate money to run, and it's like, okay, fine, but if you get in office, we expect you to, vote our way, and that means they're owned by them.
Yeah, and they essentially write the legislation. It's not even like we'll have influence. They will write it, and then it goes through as written, so... Yeah, so it makes a sham of a lot of the things that the illusion of democracy that a lot of people operate under.
My question with the whole concept is what is everyone hoping to accomplish by, sleeping out in tents and protesting?
Well, in a way, sometimes the only thing you can do in this country is just make some noise, So, but, unfortunately, a lot of times people give up.
Yeah,
because the people you're fighting against have a bunch of money and they could wait you out, But,
and they also have batons and guns. So like, basically, I mean,
and they can paint it like you're being just crazy people. Yeah,
that's right, and that's how they do. And it's very effective because they own the media too, right? I mean, like that's how you're getting the messages. That's what's on the front page of whatever rag that Rupert Murdoch owns or whoever. So of course they're going to paint it as if it's the crazies coming out because they're protecting their interests. But essentially, it is a good question, and that's a question that we even asked ourselves, like, what do we hope to accomplish? But I think like anytime like a social movement begins, basically, it is a little crazy, a little audacious, and but it's coming out of a need, whether it's the civil rights movement.
You're coming out of insane frustration about something.
Sure,
right? Yeah.
Sure. Working class folks having benefits cut or having hours cut instead of having, a 40-hour-a-week job that you could, buy a house, feed a family on. Now they're working 2 part-time jobs or 3, or, people saddled with student debt. So all these things, there was a saying down there, all our grievances are connected. And it's true. All of these different grievances are connected because they kind of all point back to the banks and the corporate control and transfer of wealth from working class people to the 1%.
Well, you look at Detroit. Like when you look at a city like Detroit and you go, what the hell happened? It's the most depressing thing you've ever seen. It's just a burnt out city now. And you're talking about and not just General Motors. You're talking about Motown. The sports there were always huge to people. And it just seems like a dead city. How does that happen? It's like, and I mean, do you think a guy like Obama's on the right track? I mean, what do you do?
No, honestly, and what's interesting for me is I wasn't really an activist prior to Occupy Wall Street. I had gone on the occasional march here or there, like anti-war things.
But that's so much more than the average person.
That's true.
It's way more than me or anyone I know has ever done.
But you know what's funny is clearly you're informed. Most people have a working knowledge of kind of the broad strokes of why people are out there. But it is a kind of a step that it's kind of a big step for people to take to actually go out. But yeah, you make a good point. Like with these entire cities that are just decimated. Cleveland is kind of the same way. But even countries, right? We saw Iceland bankrupt, Cyprus now,
Greece.
Yeah. So it's like it's really global, and that's another thing that participating kind of taught me is like even though we grow up in this paradigm of countries, and especially in America, like kind of rah-rah, we're the best, but it's really you can't think. With these divisions because it's really a global economy now, and it's the working class folks globally who are suffering.
I went to Paris this past summer, and you see how, it in a lot of ways, money-wise, it doesn't even seem like a different country. Like it's everybody's their own, in it for themselves, on a global level. How much politics do you do in your act? Do you do a lot of that?
I don't do a lot, but I probably do. I think my act is like maybe a third just like personal stuff about me, dating, relationships, family, my old teaching stuff. A third is maybe political. A third like social commentary,
Mix
political
it up,
stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
And the other third, I don't know what it is.
Whatever.
I realized when I got into the math that
I know. When you're doing stand-up, it's like, I don't know. You just need, after a while, you just need minutes. I'll talk about it.